Welcome back, friends. It's another day and another realization. Although this realization I've had many years ago, yet I notice it keeps coming up, and so I know it is meant to be shared today. Also, because I tuned into Spirit, and that was what I was guided to share today. So, this realization is about reviews, online reviews, and how when we read reviews, it would be wise to keep in mind that each human being is having their own experience that is perfect for them. And this I have noticed for all types of reviews. So not only product, but also for places or things to do or anything of that nature, any sort of review. And the first thing that pops out is that reviews are a projection of someone's consciousness. So someone has an experience and then they share this. Just like every video I make is a projection of my consciousness. Literally everything that comes out of our mouth is a projection of our consciousness. So there's that bit. And then the other bit is to remember that different people have different experiences for different reasons. And for example, they may encounter some sort of challenge and they may not see challenges as a positive thing and then leave a very negative review when someone else could do this, go to the same spot or buy the same thing and have a very positive experience with it. And so what it all boils down to is, again, trusting our inner guidance. And regardless of what the reviews say, it's learning to trust what we're receiving from within, if something is best for us or not, regardless of the reviews. Because I've noticed even this summer, reading into different things and seeing different reviews and seeing a place maybe have some very bad reviews and maybe there's someone named in this in the bad review. They put the name, and then you start wondering, oh, am I gonna run into that person when I go there? And then it's like we have resistance to someone we've never even met, even before we go there. And of course, what we resist, we attract. And in one case, I tuned into Spirit about it, and that person who was in the reviews wasn't even there anymore. And that I would have a great time there. But you can see how if we just read the review and we just take that, we're not getting the picture for ourselves. We're getting other people's experiences. And maybe one person has the worst time there, another person has the greatest time of their life there. Or with a product, maybe someone thinks a product, maybe it doesn't fit an area or something, and so they leave a bad review. But for the other person, they measured it, made sure it would fit, and then they ordered, and then they leave a great review. So it's to look at things from multiple angles, and also at the end of the day, it all comes back to trusting ourselves, trusting our guidance, what is best for us. And like I shared with you with that previous example, we can always tune in if something is a possibility for us. For example, about that person who kept being mentioned in a very negative way in the reviews. And And so we can look into these things, we can tune into spirit about it and see if something is right for us. Because what came up to me is that I just realized that a lot of these reviews, especially the bad reviews, the negative reviews, they cause people to have fear, which is, of course, it's an illusion we're creating in our minds with the stories, but causes people to have fear about doing something that they may have just an epic time doing. And so it's like, take everything with a grain of salt, of course, and to trust ourselves with what is best. And if spirit guides us to do a certain thing or go a certain place or purchase a certain item, we can trust that that will be the very best for us and that we will have a really good experience with it. You know, so a lot of times people too, they're so focused on what's wrong, something we talked about in a recent video, and so when we focus on what we perceive is wrong or a problem, we're in a resistance, we don't feel good, and then we just attract more what we would perceive as wrong or problems or issues into our life. And so, you know, maybe someone gets a product and they get a dud version, and just because they did doesn't mean you're going to. You could order the same product from the same supplier and get a perfect one. It depends on so many things what we experience. And yes, it does feel good when you're interested in something and the reviews are all really good. And that can also be a confirmation. But rather than letting other people influence us with their reviews, let's let our higher self not only influence us, but guide us to what is best for us, because then we will have the optimal time for us. And yeah, that's what's been coming up to share today. I've noticed this so much, and it's very interesting. It's fascinating to see. And also another thing was that often when people have a challenging time and they are making others guilty, they leave a bad review to try to hurt the business or hurt the person, or because they felt hurt and they want to pass on this hurt. And so, of course, that never feels good to see. Yet we can also, when we see that, instead of buying into this guilt and all of this, buying into these stories, we can see that there was a bigger purpose to that everyone is a spiritual being on a journey, and we're all attracting that which will assist us on our path. And yes, sometimes we don't have a good experience, and that's letting us know to not do that again. But other times we have a challenging experience and then we make up our minds that we're never doing that again, when in reality, if we went back in even 2 weeks or a month, we would have a completely different experience. And so that's another thing I see in reviews of people limiting themselves. They have one bad time at a place and then they just think it's just bad forever, when really any challenge that we have, well, that's our responsibility. And that's our co-creation with the field. And also, it also comes down to tuning into our intuition, because maybe at the restaurant, intuitively, if one trusted their intuition, they would have ordered this instead of that, yet they didn't, and they ordered the thing that they had a rough experience with. So there's so many things, and it's coming back to trusting in ourselves and not getting wrapped up in reviews, and also not getting wrapped up if we have a tough time ourselves somewhere and thinking that that's going to be the same every time. Again, sometimes we can have a certain time and realize, okay, that's not for me, I want to do something else. But other times, this is just limiting us and preventing us from having a great time in the future at the same place, or doing the same thing, or even purchasing the same product. So when we have a challenging time, we come within, we do the introspective work, and really we tune into what we are receiving from within, what the purpose was for us, what the learning experience was. This is something I've been talking about recently as well, that we can have a similar experience, but the purpose may be different from each time we experience that to the next. And so it's coming in, seeing the purpose, taking the opportunities for growth, taking the benefits, and then assessing whether what is the next step. Do we just want to move on from that, or do we want to give it another go in the future, etc., etc. So just some food for thought, just some things to keep in mind, and ultimately to trust yourself over the reviews, because I don't want you to miss out on something that would be just absolutely amazing for you because of one person creating their reality in a certain way to teach them a lesson that they didn't get, and so then they cast guilt onto others in attempts to hurt them or their business. And so it's just seeing through these illusions, seeing through the stories, seeing through the drama. And again, this gets easier and easier the more we progress on our path, and the easier it'll be able to see immediately. Often I can look at a negative review and I can actually see what was happening energetically or behind the scenes. And so trust yourself, trust what you're receiving from within, and go and have fun. Go enjoy yourself, and know that you're only going to experience stuff that benefits you. So I will leave it there. And I send you much love and blessings on your path today. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.